Today we're going to be covering percent proportions using the proportion is over of equals percent over 100. That's going to be your key to solving all of these. The first thing that you will plug in is the 100. We start down here in this bottom corner. We're going to go up first and we'll fill them in the same order every single time to make sure we don't miss anything. So step 1, you'll plug in 100 first. Step 2 is your percentage. And that works because every percent is out of 100. So the percentage always has to go over 100. The next thing we'll plug in is our is value. Your is value is always going to be your new amount. And the last thing we'll look for is our of value, or the original amount. Once we have followed step 1, 2, 3, and 4, we should have a proportion set up to be able to cross multiply and solve. The key to doing all of this is right up here in the top corner. Anywhere you see the words what number, that indicates that's where your variable will go. So let's go ahead and try example 1. It says what number is 55% of 140? And if you look down here at the bottom, you can see I've already plugged in all of those values for you. If you were going to plug them in and solve on your own, though, you would start with the 100, following step 1. The next thing you would look for is your percentage. Those are typically the easiest to find because they have that percent sign with them. So you would plug in 55% second. Next, you would look for your is value, which is always going to be your numerator. To find my is value, I'm going to go back up here to my problem. It says what number is 55% of 140? After I find the word is, I see that the words what number are closest to it. If you can think back to your key up top, it said anytime you had the words what number, that indicated that that's where your variable would go. So that's how I knew that the x was my is value. And then I find my last value, which is the of. The original value was 140, so I would have plugged it in down in the denominator. After I've set up my proportion, I'm going to go through and I'm going to cross multiply. I'm on step 5. So I'm going to do 100 times x is 100x. 140 times 55 is 7,700. From there, I'm on step 6. I've set them equal to one another, and then I can solve a one-step equation. Just divide both sides by 100 to get x by itself. You know that anytime anything is being divided by multiples of 100, you can just cancel those zeros out. You end up with 77 over 1, so x is 77. Step 2 starts to get a little more difficult. Instead of filling in all of the places where I needed to for the proportion, you're going to have to fill some of them in as we go. Feel free to pause the video if you need to and take it at your own pace. It says, what percent of 88 is 33? So going back up to my notes, the first thing I would fill in is the 100. Next, I look for my percentages. If I look up here at this problem, the first thing I notice is that none of those numbers have a percent sign with it. So I'm going to read back through it. It said, what percent of 88 is 33? Well, I realized quickly that my percent sign is down here at the bottom because I'm solving for that percentage. Step 3 is my is value. I find the word is back in my original problem. The word closest, or the number closest to it, is the 33. So 33 will go up top, is 33. And my of value will be that 88. From there, I'm on step 5. I'm going to cross multiply and solve. 100 times 33 is 3,300. 88 times x is 88x. Now step 6, I just divide both sides to solve. If you had the help of a calculator, that might help just a little bit, but even if you don't, you should end up with 37.5%. All right, step 3, or example 3, gets just a little more difficult. I'm asking you to fill in just a few more of these steps on your own. The first thing you're going to fill in is the 100. Now I'm looking for my percentage. It says what number is 27% of 52? I'm going to move up first to that percentage. The percentage was 27. Now I move over to the left. I had is over of equals percent over 100. So I'm looking for my is value. I go back through the problem and I find the word is. It says what number is 27% of 52? Keep in mind your key right there is the what number. So I know that my is value will be the x. And the last thing I look for is my of value, or the original, which is 52. Now I can cross multiply and solve again. I have 100 times x is 100x. 52 times 27. Once again, a calculator will help with that, but you should end up with 1,404. You're still not quite finished. Now all you have left to do is solve that simple one-step equation. So you're going to divide by 100 on both sides. Anytime you have those zeros, keep in mind all you're really doing is moving the decimal over. So you have 1, 2 zeros, you'll move your decimal over 1, 2 spaces, and x is 14 and 4 hundredths. The last step of today's notes is a check question. With none of these steps on your own, you're going to fill it in and then check on the Edpuzzle video. Thanks.